Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the best possible money making method in old school RuneScape. I use this strategy to make over 700 million GP in 1 week. Because not everybody has the same amount of time to play during the tournament, I broke down this strategy into 3 time components. So I was on Reddit and I saw some people were concerned about getting scammed or getting their account banned. I just wanted to clarify that swapping not only is listed in the rules of the tournament, but very safe if you use trusted clan chats. I personally used Still Swap last tournament and I had no problems. Just remember to only trust someone if they have a rank. If you are a veteran of Deadman mode, apologies for the long intro, but let's get started in terms of if you do not have a lot of time to play. The first low time method is going to be doing the agility pyramid. It's a very classic money making method. It should also be noted that all of these money-making methods are most efficient if used on day 1 of the demo mode tournament, where the swapping rates are the most highest. This strategy is very simple. All you have to do is when you talk to Skippy at the start, you have him teleport you to the Gnome Stronghold. You get yourself 30 agility, then you teleport to Lumbridge, then you run south all the way to the pyramid, and then you just start making a million GP per lap. It's unbelievably good money in the first few hours of the tournament and decent money throughout. The next strategy should be used sparingly as it is only good within the first day or 2 of the tournament, but that is going to be fishing and cooking. It'll take about an hour and a half to get the cooking level to start cooking sharks, and food goes for a lot of GP per hour in the early days of the Deadman mode tournament. There are a lot of good fishing spots, but I prefer Catherby as there is a place to cook fish and catch fish, and there's a bank right next to you. So it's very pretty simple and easy. The next low time strategy actually might surprise you, and that's going to be flipping. All it requires is a little bit of startup capital, but there are many items that go for a lot of money that people aren't really using the Grand Exchange for. All you have to do is buy an item, sell an item, check the history, and then buy for 1 GP less and sell for 1 GP more. What you're going to want to do when you're flipping is you're going to want to pick items that are in high demand, such as the Dragon Scimitar, Barrow's armor, Barrow's teleports, potions. You can honestly flip anything, whatever is just in demand. But yeah, the reason that this strategy is so good for money making is because everyone's kind of focusing on their own account. Everyone's trying to make as much progress as fast as possible, so you can really take advantage of the markets if that's your thing. I don't really recommend pursuing lava dragons, but if you're doing it on protection, which you get for an hour, then it's definitely a good strategy, as you can get some good bones to sell at the Grand Exchange and some very valuable drops early on. In my humble opinion, the best possible strategy if you do not have that much time to play, but you really want to make some money, is going to actually be rooftop agility courses. And this is because all you have to do is get yourself the Sigil of Agile Fortune. You can purchase it on the Grand Exchange, or you can maybe get a little lucky. And what this does is every mark of grace that you get 10,000 GP. And you can do this in, let's say, the Varrock agility course. It's very, very safe. This strategy, if done right, can yield 5 to 15 million GP per hour. Moving on to what is definitely the strangest strategy on the list, is going to actually be doing clue scrolls. I know how strange it sounds, but that is because there is a sigil, the Sigil of the Bloodhound, which gives you a 75% chance of obtaining a casket on the first step of the clue scroll. Considering there are very specific armor and weapons that people are going to want early on in the tournament, and considering the fact that the drop rates of clue scrolls are increased, they're very common, and you can do a lot of them in a very short amount of time. Our last low time method is going to be Temperos, and that is because you can get a Sigil of Hoarding, which gives you triple the amount of reward pulls. Alright, let's get into the medium tier. Let's say you have a decent amount of time to play, not a crazy amount, not too little. The first strategy that we're going to be talking about in the medium tier is actually sigil farming. It should be noted that the top bracket is the best possible bracket to farm sigils at. Therefore, rushing to the top bracket is the best possible strategy if you're going to be sigil farming. However, considering the fact that some sigils last tournament went for nearly 100 million GP in Deadman mode before swapping, you can only imagine how profitable sigil farming can be. The first location that we're going to be talking about is actually the Mortania's Spider Cave. This location is great because it's out of the way of PKers. It's also in multi-combat, allowing you to use Ice Barrage to farm a lot of sigils per hour. It's a good place to go on your Deadman mode account if, let's say, you're busy doing something else and you're looking to AFK some sigils and make some GP. Just remember to make sure that you bring your anti-venom. If you're worried about getting killed from a PKer, this next location is perfect for you. The Stronghold of Security has doors everywhere, and the first floor is entirely multi-combat if you're trying to do some some bursting on some of the monsters in the first floor. If you are not trying to do the first floor, you can AFK some Ankus in the bottom of the Stronghold of Security. But no matter what, this entire place is amazing for sigil farming, mainly because it's super easy to escape from a PKer, as well as the fact that many of the monsters in the Stronghold of Security you can AFK. 3 more monsters that I figured deserved at least a mention are going to be the skeletons under the Wilderness Agility course, Ice Warriors, and Ice Trolls. All of these I would say are decent for sigil farming. Moving on to the next strategy in terms of medium level time to play, we're going to be talking all about God Wars Dungeon. First of all, if you get the protection, which I will go over in a second, doing the Wilderness God Wars Dungeon is actually amazing for sigil farming, especially considering the fact that all the monsters are constantly attacking each other, and you just have to do about 5 damage to any monster to receive credit for the kill. Furthermore, all it takes is doing the Waterfall quest into the Monkey Madness quest line, and then next thing you know, you have high enough combat stats to take on God Wars Dungeon, which drop some of the most incredible drops of the Deadman mode tournament, and the swap rates are insane. Now let's talk really quick about God Wars Protection so that when you go into God Wars Dungeon or Wilderness God Wars Dungeon that you don't instantly get slaughtered by everything in there. First of all, let's talk about the Armageddon Pendant, which you get from the Temple of Ikov quest line. In terms of obtaining Armageddon Protection, this is definitely going to be your best bet. Moving on to Zamorak Protection, what you're going to be doing is a little southwest of Ardone. You just have to kill the monks, which normally would be a 1 in 20 drop rate of the Zamorak monks are over top, but with the Deadman mode drop rate, it's going to be about like 1 in 4. Then, of course, Saradoan Protection, super easy. You just have to go to the Edgeville Monastery and go up the ladder, and grab the monk's robe and top from the table. The hardest item to get is actually going to be Bandos Protection for God Wars Dungeon, and in that case, you actually have to do some clue scrolls. But with the Sigil of Bloodhound, it shouldn't be too difficult to get yourself a Bandos item in no time. Specifically, Firewatch Sentinels are definitely on the high end of the medium time to play list type thing that we're doing, and that's because you have to rush to the top bracket, not necessarily within the first day or two, but you want to choose the Sins of the Father quest line, of course, doing this method, and you just have to pay 40,000 coins to, Velioff Hertz in the Icene Graveyard for the Blisterwood Flail. Obviously, in the main game, this spot is extremely popular, but you don't really see that many PKers because it's so out of the way. Obviously, getting the Blood Shard is going to yield you a lot of money, but Firewatch Sentinels also drop a lot of sigils, as well as the fact that all the rune drops that they drop are very good GP. Moving on to PKing. I mean, it is a PKing tournament, so we do have to talk about PKing for a little bit. There are obviously going to be some hotspots, but in terms of money making methods, if you don't have the most amount of time to play, you can rank your account up, level it up, progress as fast as possible. You can even stay in the lower brackets as a strategy if that's what you want to do to kill the low level players. Obviously, fishing and cooking spots in terms of skillers, killing people doing popular quests like the Waterfall quest, the Monkey Madness quest, doing Slayer, of course. If you have a few friends, one of the best spots to PK during this tournament is going to be God War's Dungeon. Don't forget about Barrows, and of course, raids. The next mid-time method is actually going to be breaches. Breaches are not going to be as overpowered as they were last Deadman Mode tournament. However, you can still make an insane amount of GP at these breaches. They occur 4 times a day. One is going to be specific, relevant to where you live, and all you have to do is know what time these breaches are at, pull up to the breaches, either do some PKing or kill the monsters, and swap whatever your profits are. Okay. The strategy that I used most personally last tournament that got me nearly 700 million GP is Barrows. The reason for this is because of how easy it is to escape from a PK. You teleport in and there's about 5 to 7 seconds where you're very vulnerable, but all you have to do is you can just not get frozen, or if you do get frozen, bring enough food to heal for 5 to 7 seconds, go to one of the Barrows brothers, dig under, start attacking the brother, and then you're safe because you don't get PJ timed off of the brother. Also, if it's one of the areas inside the dungeon, you got a PK waiting for you down below. It's impossible to kill you because there's so many different rooms and they're all different for everybody. Also, using the Sigil of Last Recall allows for you to teleport back to another location that you last teleported from, which basically means that every time that you loot a Barrows chest, you could teleport out and then you can teleport right back to the Barrows chest. The Barrows armor is in extremely high demand in this tournament, and it also doesn't take insane amount of stats to start killing the brothers. Furthermore, another strategy in terms of Barrows that I heard people were doing is they were staying in the lower level brackets. All you have to do is talk to the dude at the Lumbridge and tell him I don't want to gain any more XP. And then in the lower level brackets, there's really no PKers killing people in Barrows compared to the higher level brackets. So you just stay in the lower level bracket and make an insane amount of GP swapping. What the fuck? I got a collection log. Before moving on, I just wanted to say feel free to comment if you have any questions or want to talk strategy. Also, if you've enjoyed the video so far, please consider subscribing. It's free and it helps out the channel more than you know. Alright, let's move on. The next mid-time to play strategy is actually going to be DKs. Dagonoth Kings are great because they drop the Berserker Ring, the Archer Ring, and the Seers Ring. All very high commodities in terms of Deadman mode. However, with this strategy, I do recommend you come in a group, as sometimes you get jumped by a clan, or sometimes you get jumped by a small team of 2 to 3 people. So if you have like 4 or 5 people, and you want to take over DKs for yourselves, pretty good strategy, I would say. The last strategy that we're going to be talking about is actually another skilling method, and that is going to be smithing and mining, because together there is sigil combinations that first of all sends the ore directly into your bank. There is a sigil you can get that turns ore into bars, and then you just have to smith the bars and you can make yourselves a lot of rune items super quick if you do this method. For the high time to play methods, I will see you in part 2. ZZQ out.